Hi everyone! So today's video is a quick tutorial on building creativity. Let's get started. First, I need to preface this by saying that some of us believe that we're not creative at all. That if we're not making some big creative project, or we're not drawing pictures, painting pictures, or writing stories, or making videos, then we're not creative people. And that's just not true. There are so many ways that we can be creative that I bet you haven't even considered it. So we're going to touch on just a few. So if you like to build robots, I know that my boys loved the Lego robotic program when they were in elementary school, and they have other different robotics programs at school, or they have kits that you can take home. If that's something that you like to do, or if you like to program video games or anything like that, that is a creative outlet. That is being creative. If you like to make games, whether they're playground games where you gather all your friends and you make up all these rules and decide who gets to be the winner, that is a form of creativity. Or if you like to, like my husband, build board games, where you actually create the board and make the cards and come up with the rules, and then you test them out and see what works and what doesn't work, and then revise your plans and make your game even better. That's creativity. If you like to dance, whether you're blaring your favorite music in the living room and just going crazy, or if you take dance classes, ballet or hip hop or salsa or whatever the case may be, that's a creative outlet. Like these fun little dances these people are doing. This is like one of my favorite slides. Or if you like to bake or cook. Some people even make up their own recipes, and that's mind-blowing to me. Or they take a recipe and they think, ooh, I'm going to try this spice instead of this one, and I'm going to see how it changes it. Or what if I add fruit, or whatever the case may be. That is creativity. Or if you like to put together different outfits, like if you are interested in fashion and that's a way that you express yourself is how you dress, then that's creativity. Or if you like to sew, which one of my favorite shows is Project Runway, where you get to watch people come up with their own fashion, their own outfits, their own dresses or pantsuits or whatever the case may be. That's creativity. Exercising, the way you decide to exercise can be an expression of your creativity, whether it's prancercising or doing strange things on the treadmill. That can be a creative form of expression. Sometimes the way we solve problems is creative, that we're trying to think outside the box and figure out, for example, and this kind of goes back to baking, like you only have so many ingredients, but you want to make this cool, fun meal, and you have to figure out how to put them together without a recipe. Or if you're trying to solve a problem, but you don't have a certain tool and you're trying to figure out how you can solve it, sometimes that forces us to be creative. There are all sorts of ways that we can creatively solve problems in unexpected ways. That's creativity. If you like to paint, these are definitely unusual forms of painting, but that's a form of expression and a form of creativity. If you like to sing, obviously that's one of those more expected outlets of creativity. Something else that I don't have visuals for, but if you are the kind of person that recognizes when people are struggling and you go out of your way to comfort them, either you write notes or you do services for them that you know will make them feel happy, that's a form of creativity too. There's so many ways that we can be creative. Now, my main mode of creativity is writing. And so if you like to tell stories or make up scripts or plays and then film yourself later, that's a form of creativity too. But I hope that in seeing some of these, it kind of opens up your mind to all the different ways that you can be creative, or that you already were being creative that you didn't even realize. So we're going to talk about how to feed your imagination so that your creativity can grow stronger and stronger and stronger. So like creativity, your imagination, it's like a muscle. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets and the more creative you are. And so we're going to be talking about different ways that you can feed your imagination or build your creativity. Okay, and so these are just ideas. They're probably things that you already do, but these can be helpful as well. So, number one, Get yourself a journal of ideas where you just kind of keep track of things that excite you or things that you would like to try. Right now, I'm filming this during the coronavirus quarantine. And so we have TV and devices to keep us busy, but that's not enough. Like, we're all kind of struggling with ways to keep ourselves entertained. And so having a journal of ideas can help you come up with things that are exciting and that are new. For example, we saw on the internet that somebody was building a geodome out of cardboard. And so my son is going to try to create that. It looks like an igloo, and it just is using cardboard and tape. And so he's going to try to put that together. But that's something that you can keep track of in your journal of ideas. Or if you like to create stories, this is where you can write down story ideas. Or if somebody says something or does something that gives you an idea of something you can make or build, that's where you would keep track of it, is in your journal of ideas. So another idea that you can try is that you can be observant. You can watch people around you. I know that I mentioned that my sons used to be in Lego robotics, and one year they also have to do a presentation where they try to solve a problem for people. And that requires you to be observant. They were supposed to come up with an invention that would help solve a problem that they recognized existed. And the only way that you can figure out what problems need to be solved is by being observant and watching and seeing what things people struggle with and how you might be able to build something that could help. I know that I've seen that kids actually have created inventions that let you know if you've left a child in the car, because that can sometimes be a problem. New parents sometimes forget that they have a baby in the car. And I know that there have been kids who've actually created inventions that help remind parents to take their baby out of the car so that they don't end up leaving their baby in the car. And so there are kids who create solutions to problems all the time, but that requires that you be observant. This is the same thing if you like to paint or if you like to write stories. As you're observant and you watch people around you, you can get ideas for those things. And so where can you keep track of these ideas? In your journal of ideas. You kind of watch and observe people and you write these things down in your journal of ideas. Okay, number 3, celebrate the creativity of others. Now, this may sound strange, but sometimes I think we feel bad when we look at other creative people and we say, gosh, they are so good at painting, or they're so good at making up stories, or they're so good at this or that, and we start to feel bad about ourselves, and that's not the way we want to be. So it's important to celebrate the creativity of others, to notice when somebody is doing a good job of something and to let them know. And I think in doing that, it helps us to feel like we're part of something bigger than us, that we can celebrate somebody else's creativity and it doesn't hurt our own creativity, that we can still be creative people. And so it's important, I think, to celebrate the creativity of others. Okay, number 4. Make mistakes. I know that we're all a little bit nervous about making mistakes and looking silly. I talk about this all the time in my school visits, that it's really important that you make mistakes. Do you know how many cool things were invented because people were brave enough to try to make something, they made a mistake, and they made this super cool thing that is really popular today that we use? So for example, potato chips, did you know those were a mistake? That actually was created by a chef who was angry because one of his customers kept sending back the, what's it called? The potatoes, the scalloped potatoes. And he was complaining that they were too thick and mushy. And so the chef got angry and he cut the potato really thin and then he deep fat fried him and sent them out to him, these really thin, crunchy potatoes. And he thought, I mean, it was just like, I'm going to show him. But the man loved them, and now we have potato chips. Post-its were an accident. Somebody was trying to create a kind of a tougher glue than the one that you use on the back of Post-its, and they accidentally created Post-its, which we use all the time. Popsicles were an accident. The pacemaker was an accident. There are so many inventions that only exist because people were brave enough to make mistakes. That sometimes when you're trying to create something, your mistake ends up being cooler than the idea that you had in your head. So you can't be afraid of making mistakes. Nobody can become good at anything without having a lot of practice, and that requires making mistakes. So you've got to make mistakes. Okay, and number 5, and this is one that people will be going, what? But you need to be bored. You need to take time to be bored. Now, why do I say that? Because if you can't be on your device, or you can't watch TV, or you feel like there's nothing you can do, that's when your imagination kicks in and it thinks of ways to entertain you. So when you're bored, don't think of that as a negative thing. That's an opportunity to be creative. And so next chance you have, and like I said, I'm filming this during the coronavirus quarantine. And so I'm sure there are a lot of bored kids out there, but this is the perfect opportunity to create these great inventions or stories or scripts or videos. This is your chance to explore your creativity and start doing a lot of new and exciting things. So here are just some ideas if you're wondering, well, how can I be more creative? How can I use those steps and actually apply them? So we're building that creativity muscle. Brainstorm story ideas in your idea journal. Just take 10 minutes and set your timer and force yourself to just come up with crazy, wacky story ideas. And probably as you're writing them down, you'll think this is so dumb. That's okay. Write it down anyway. You'll be surprised at how you're able to kind of shake loose some of those ideas by writing some silly, bad ones first. Okay, eavesdrop on conversations and take notes in your journal. I used to teach creative writing to college students, and one class period was always dedicated to letting them go out. I taught a night class, and so they would go out to the library or they would go out on campus, and they would just follow people and they would eavesdrop on them, and they would overhear the most interesting conversations that gave them story ideas. And so sometimes eavesdropping can give you ideas, not just for stories, but for other projects as well. Okay, write a thank you letter to an artist or writer you like. This is where you get a chance to celebrate creativity. And you might be surprised at how excited they are to hear from you. And you could maybe develop like what do you call it? Oh, sheesh. See, it just left my mind. Pen pal. There we go. You can become a pen pal with a creative person, and that can be really fun. In fact, I have a couple kids who write me regularly, and I love hearing from them. And if you want to write to me, just go to the contact form and fill out that contact sheet, and it will send it to my email, and then I can email you back. Okay, something else that you can do is make up a game and write your own rule book. That could be super fun to try that out. And maybe even make a board game, like actually take some cardboard boxes and cut one down and create a game board and see what you come up with. Go without electronics for one whole day and use your imagination to entertain yourself. I promise that you'll be surprised at all the things you come up with that you can do. It's even more fun when you can include siblings or friends. Create your own comic book using the link to free comic book panels on my website. So I have a link, like if you go to the fun stuff section of my website, down by Kazu Jones and the Comic Book Criminal, there's a link to a bunch of different comic book panels that you can print off, and you can select which ones you want, and then you can print them off and create your own story. In your idea journal, list inventions you wish you could build. Then pick one from the list and draw a picture of the invention and how it would work. That sounds really fun. Like I want to try that today. Make a commercial for your invention. Film a TV commercial or draw a magazine commercial. And I don't know if you can see some of these because they're at the bottom and my head's probably in the way. Spend time with your family and friends painting or coloring pictures, then hold an art auction. Maybe you can have Monopoly money that you give to everybody and then hold an art auction. So these are just a few ideas to build your creativity muscle and feed your imagination. But I want you to know that you are a creative person. You may not think so, but you are. I promise you that you are. And sometimes it just takes figuring out what creative things you like to do in order to realize, yeah, I am a creative person. Anyway, good luck, and I hope you have fun building your creativity. Until next time, see you later. I forgot something super important that I want to add on to this video, and that's credits for the artwork that I use in my slide presentation. That's something else that's really cool that you can look into. There are lots of sites with free graphics that you can use for your projects, and so I like to use Pixabay, Pixels, and Unsplash. And here are just 4 super cool graphics that I found for free on Pixabay and Unsplash that you can use. But I want to make sure that I give those artists credit because they worked hard to come up with those art projects that they shared online. So anyway, you can check those resources out too and see if they can help you build your creativity. See you later.